Democracy depends on a free press. Please support our independent journalism at democracynow.org/give. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Negotiations between Israel and Hamas have begun in Cairo, Egypt, over the next phase of the Gaza ceasefire. In recent weeks, Hamas has released 33 Israeli hostages in return for some 2,000 Palestinians imprisoned in Israel. We turn now to look at a new report by Physicians for Human Rights Israel titled Unlawfully Detained, Tortured and Starved, the Plight of Gaza's Medical Workers in Israeli Custody. The report documents how Israel systematically imprisoned and abused Palestinian doctors and medical staff from Gaza. The list of jailed Palestinian doctors include the Gaza pediatrician Dr. Hussam Abu Safia, who was detained at Khan Younis Hospital in December. Many in Gaza had hoped he would be among those freed this week, but he remains in Israeli detention. This is a recently freed Palestinian prisoner named Hakim, describing what Dr. Abu Safia has been exposed to in detention.
Dr. Hussam was beaten, especially Dr. Hussam and us, the medical staff, out of all other captives. They beat us, cursed at us, and starved us, and they started punching him. Are you the doctor? Come here. And they'd beat him. We were under the impression that he was released, but apparently, and according to you, he still hasn't been freed. We call upon all those concerned with this matter. Dr. Hussam established and built the healthcare system. He's its pillar. Dr. Hussam is the pillar of the healthcare system in the northern Gaza Strip. He resisted, and despite the lack of treatment, he remained steadfast. When the entire medical staff was injured, he remained steadfast. We thought that we were going to hell, to death. There are places over there that are named after hell.
We're joined right now by Naji Abbas, the director of the Prisoners Department, Physicians for Human Rights Israel. He collected the testimonies for the group's new report, Unlawfully Detained, Tortured and Starved, the Plight of Gaza's Medical Workers in Israeli Custody. And in Gaza, we are joined by Dr. Khaled Alser, renowned Palestinian surgeon at Nasser Hospital in Khan Younis. He was jailed by Israel for 7 months last year. He says he was beaten, humiliated, denied medical treatment, and tortured. No charges were filed against him. Dr. Alser was abducted by Israeli forces during a raid on Gaza's Nasser Hospital last March. At the time, he was one of the last remaining general surgeons in the hospital. Dr. Alser is also the lead author of the August 2024 report in The Lancet, headlined Trauma Care Supported Through a Global Telemedicine Initiative During the 2023-24 Military Assault on the Gaza Strip, Occupied Palestinian Territory, a case series. At the time of publication, the medical journal The Lancet put lead author whereabouts currently unknown. Dr. Khaled Alser, we're going to begin with you in Gaza, outside the hospital where you work. You were recently released from Israeli detention. Can you explain what happened to you?
Hello to you and to your audience. It happened to me last March 24. I was working in this hospital after it has been destructed by the Israeli army, IDF. They destroyed all of the department. At that time, we tried to reopen the hospital again, trying to clean the floors, clean the department, trying to open it as a medical point, at least to receive casualty. Back in March, there was a lot of threats against Palestinian in Rafah, that Netanyahu threat that he will invade Rafah. So we tried to prepare the hospital to receive casualty at that time. When we surprised that the soldiers invaded the whole city and the hospital zone within 1 hour, shooting anyone walking in the street, and they brought a siege around the hospital for 2 days. After that, they ordered us to go outside the building, and they ordered us to take off our clothes, and they brought us naked, handcuffed from behind with plastic tie, and they brought the plastic tie on our ankles with the blindfolds over our eyes, and they kept us under interrogation here near the hospital in a civilian building for 5 days under continuous interrogation from their soldiers. At that time, At that time, I have been asked several questions. All of them are related to my job. They did not know anything about me. They don't know Khaled. They only asked one question. They asked me about my job as a general surgeon here at Nasser Hospital, what I did during the war inside the hospital, and after that, this was the only question they decided to take me to the prison for.
So can you explain where you were taken to, Dr. Alser? Explain the interrogations you went through.
I underwent interrogation like 5 times, 2 times here in the hospital on field during the invasion of the soldier to the hospital zone. And after that, they took me in a military vehicle going toward Israel. During my stay inside the prison, I did not know anything about my position, which prison I am in, except with one time when I have a visit from my lawyer who told me that I was in Detention prison for 3 months, and after that they sent me on 18th of June to offer military camp prison. All of these prisons are new prisons developed or established during the October 7 war. And most of the prisoners I meet inside the prison are civilians or civil workers here working inside hospitals, schools, universities. During the interrogation here in the field and inside the prison, they took me 3 times to the interrogation. All of their questions related to the hospital, to the department in the hospital, if I saw any hostage inside the hospital, and that's all. And even after 2 months, before any interrogation inside the hospital, they decided to make like a fake court for me. They took me outside the prison in Detention. I was in Detention. They called my name. They took me outside the prison, handcuffed from behind, and they covering my eye with a piece of cloth, and they put me in the chair. And after they removed the blindfold, I was surprised with a video call on the phone, someone telling me that you are now in a court, and you are charged to be a terrorist, to be inside the prison until the end of the war. Without any prior announcement, I argue with the man who was talking with me that I did not have any legal consultation. I did not have a chance to call any lawyer, but they ignore anything we talk. They want to take the picture and the video for us, charging us with a fake charge. And actually, I did not have an actual interrogation or an actual saying for me before this court. In June, they took me twice to the interrogation with the same question. All of them regarded my work at Nasser Hospital during the war in the general surgery department.
Can you talk about who ran the prison and how they punish prisoners? Are we talking about the notorious Detention, or were you also at Ofer? Can you talk about what I was reading about your testimony, beatings and unleashing pepper spray in the face?
If I want to talk about the brutality of the soldiers inside this Detention, I will take more than 1 day or 2 days speaking in details about their brutality. In short, anyone inside Detention at least once faced beating by batons, by fist kicking, or even get bitten by the dogs. They entered every 1 week or twice weekly. They have Force 100. They enter without a prior warning or announcement inside the place. It's not a prison, just an open area closed with a metallic fence. They entered this area with 100 prisoners. They ordered all the prisoners on their tummy, and after that they choose randomly anyone inside the prison to beat him with a baton or to spray him with a pepper spray. And sometimes I heard a lot of testimony from prisoners inside the prison. They came to me seeking a medical advice because they have sexually assaulted by the soldiers using baton and sometimes using the electrical guns in their sensitive areas. And sometimes they spray their faces and their private parts by pepper spray. all of this happened to me. Every 1 week we have one incident of invasion of these forces to our stay inside Detention.
And I mean, right now, we were trying to reach you all day yesterday. You're doing operation after operation. Right in front of you is the Nasser Hospital in Khan Younis. You were held in prison for a number of months. During your stay, you met other doctors, Dr. Mohammed Shahada, Dr. Wael Abdelhadi, and Dr. Iyas Al-Bursh. Isn't Dr. Iyas Al-Bursh the relative of the well-known doctor who was found, whose body was found dead at Ofer at Ofer prison, Dr. Adnan Al-Bursh?
Yes, they are relative. Dr. Ilyas Al-Bursh is a volunteer doctor. He was working in a Shifa. I have a chance to meet him inside Detention and also inside Ofer camp. I met Ilyas Al-Bursh. He's a relative of Dr. Al-Bursh who was killed inside Ofer. He has been released recently, I think, and also Dr. Mahmoud Shahada has been released. But till now, after more than 1 year of invasion of Nasser complex, Nasser Hospital, we still have a lot of medical staff inside the prison. We are awaiting them to be released soon. One of them, Dr. Nahid Abu Taima, is the lead and the head of the surgical building behind me, is the head of all surgical departments. Also, Dr. Ghassan Abu Zuhri, the head of the orthopedic department. They were captured and detained back in February 24. And till now, we are still waiting their release because no actual charge has been written against them.
Finally, what message do you have for the world, Dr. Khaled Alser? Many families were hoping missing doctor and medical staff would be released in the latest prisoner exchange. It was thought that Dr. Abu Safiya, well-known head of Kamal Adwan, the pediatrician, would be released. There's been video shown of him, but he hasn't been. What's your message to the world, recently freed, right back in the hospital performing operations, Dr. Alser?
Speak on behalf of all of the health worker who has been either injured, detained during this war, or all of my colleagues who has been killed during this war. We as healthcare worker, we don't have any agenda against anyone. We just provide medical care for all civilians, for anyone coming to the hospital seeking for the help, for our help. I remember back in January and February, I was here, the only surgeon, the last hope for all patients in Khan Younis city, trying to rescue our patients. So we don't have any military or any agenda behind doing our work. So please do your effort to all the international committee to do your effort to get released all of my colleagues inside the prison who are still now without any charge, kept in detention. And actually it's not detention, they are kidnapped. And actually they are kidnapped, they are not in a human situation or human suitable situation inside the prison. So please, as soon as possible, do your effort to get them all out free within us.
Dr. Khaled Alser, I want to thank you so much for stepping outside the hospital and talking to us today. Palestinian surgeon at Nasser Hospital in Khan Younis, who was jailed for months at the notorious Detention and then Ofer prison, recently released. Democracy Now! Is funded by viewers like you. Please give today at democracynow.org/give.